Hey guys and gals and our non-binary pals, hi friends, and welcome to Nerd Initiation, where I'm Zana and this,
Jason.
Yay! And we are finally doing our podcast together. I'm so excited. After so many months apart, with ye old plague in and amongst our lives, we have both been quarantining this whole time, and we both have both of our vaccinations, so we now get our start our podcast together. It's so exciting.
Yeah, what you're seeing now is going to be the beginning of a new phase of the podcast.
A new era.
A new era. We're episode 12 now, right?
Somewhere around there.
Somewhere in that area. We've been doing this since February 2021. I think last week of the month. So we're talking now. It's been 2.5 months at least.
Yeah, it's been a while. So we're so excited. Now we get to actually start the like our brainchild where we wanted to start it. Like, this is how we wanted to go about doing it in the Nerdvana.
That's right.
You know, with each other and being able to speak to each other, and I'm just so excited.
Yep, you're gonna see. you're gonna see a new energy, new dynamic. Still talking about all the same cool nerdy stuff, but we're just doing it in the same room now, in the room that Zana affectionately referred to as Nerdvana. I got my comic books in here, a lot of my collectibles, like my toys, movies behind me, including VHS, DVDs, old video games, records,
all that good stuff.
All that good stuff.
Yes.
So.
And with all that good stuff, as you can see, big movie fans, both of us. We're huge movie fans. We watch a lot of movies and are interested in a lot of fandoms. But with fandoms comes the ye old question: what's better, the book or the movies? I mean, we have movies behind us and we have books on this wall, but that's like my house. My house is full of just movies and books all over the place. I have stacks everywhere. I'm not as organized as Jason, so that's why we do it.
Not
here
many are.
My house is literally, it's stacks of books just like everywhere for no reason. That's just how I roll.
No rhyme or reason to it.
No, but that, that's one of the biggest questions in nerddom or nerd fandom in any genre is, what is better, the books or the movies? And Jason, what do you think? In your opinion, what is better, books or movies?
I think it's going to be a case-by-case basis. It's going to depend on what property we're talking about. A lot of people tend to gravitate towards the books always being better. A lot of times that's just due to them being more detailed. There's more room for detail in a book. You lose the visual aspect, though. Some examples I could think of is Stephen King's It, the book. I would say that's better than the movies that have come out, although I've enjoyed all of those. But in some cases, and I'll mention one specific case today, sometimes the movies are made better. My example for that is Jaws, which for our viewers, I'm holding up a VHS copy, and I have a DVD copy too. Here is the book it was based off of by Peter Benchley. I think it came out. Fellow. Oh, definitely. He's wearing his. It looks like a captain's jacket with like a sweater, turtleneck.
Turtleneck sweater.
And I believe this book is from 1974. So a really quick turnaround time because they made the movie 1 year later in 75.
They really liked the book.
They did. Now this book has some sentimental attachment. This used to be my grandparents', my grandpa Peden, who's passed away now. This is his copy. I remember this sitting in his office for years on a shelf, and I always liked looking at it. When I was younger, it was kind of scary because there's a shark and the girl swimming, and the shark's all big and scary. But I got around to reading it in high school, and I liked it. But I thought the movie was better because I felt like there was a lot of extraneous information in here that wasn't really necessary to the plot. Now, in some cases, books have more information and it's a better thing, but in other cases, sometimes the story just needs to be leaner and meaner and more efficient, I
Right.
think.
So there's like there's too many details.
Yeah.
And it like convolutes the story rather than helps it along. Like it slows it down.
That's right. Yeah, because like there's a subplot in here where Hooper, Richard Dreyfuss's character in the movie, has an affair with Chief Brody's wife. But that's not in the movie. And you don't really, it's not necessary. You don't really miss it. I think there's a little bit more in here about the mayor being involved with the mafia or something, which might make it a little bit more exciting, but in the movie, as we saw, wasn't really necessary either. So I won't say it's bad though. I still like the book, but in this case, definitely the movie improves on the book.
The movie is better. So, in this case, I've never read the book. I'm going to take your word for it. And, but that, I know a lot of people that would say, you're crazy because they, for stories that they like, they want all of that, background information.
Oh, yeah.
All of that details.
Oh, that was, the grandmother clock.
That's funny. If you really, really like a story, especially if it's like a series or something like that, you're gonna want more detail. Even if you think like maybe it convolutes it. Even if you think like, oh, it's not technically necessary. But if it's, a lot of people would make the argument that, but just because it's not necessary to the main plot, maybe subplots are a little bit more interesting to have too.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think of Stephen King, though, in the It book again. And that book's huge. It's like 1,000 pages. And it's so full of detail. And a lot of it probably isn't necessary to the plot. But in that case, though, I like it because he creates this world that just seems so vivid in his description of it. So in that case, I like the extra detail. I don't think it goes too far.
So basically what you're saying is if the book is 1,000 pages, it probably is better for the story than anything else. Which brings it to my...
Yeah, what do you got for a Z?
My example, because I'm taking the stance against you, I'm sorry, that books are going to be better. And for the reasons that I stated, because it has more details. When you love the story so much, you want all the little details for all of the characters because you want to be, I like to be immersed in a story. Like, for instance, this is the Mortal Instruments book by Cassandra Clare. This is the 6th one in the series, and it is a 6-book series. She has other runoffs of the same world, but this is the original, the Mortal Instruments series, and if I had all of the books here, it would probably be a stack like this of just 6 books. Like, they're huge. And I like all of the different subplots and things like that, because there's so many different stories and characters that get into a lot of trouble, we'll say. And it's interesting to me to have all of those little itty bitty details. So when it does get, because look how thick this is, and this is the 6th one.
You could knock somebody out with that thing.
But so this, for the reason I brought this one, because it was made into both a movie and a TV show. The movie was called The Mortal Instruments, City of Bones, and it starred Lily Collins, Phil Collins' daughter.
Oh, I've heard of her, yeah.
Yeah, she's very cute. And then Jamie Campbell-Bower, who was in both the Twilight Saga and Harry Potter movies. So that was really interesting.
So that's why I don't know her.
Jamie Campbell-Bower is a boy.
That's why I don't know him.
He's like this cool punk rock kid that just like happens to be an actor. It's pretty hilarious.
Oh.
Yeah. But the funny thing is I actually watched the movie first. I had no idea about this series until a friend of mine came over to my house and he's like, Xana, I found this movie and it has you written all over. It's just it's just your movie. It's your movie. We have to watch it right now. We're gonna watch it. I was like, all right, put it in. And we watched it. I'm like, this is the best thing ever in the world. What is this? And then I did research, and then I found the book series and the author. I'm like, this is amazing. So I read all of the books many, many times. So I have all of the details.
It's just imprinted in your brain now, isn't it?
It's all I think about all the time is Shadowhunters. I'm actually a big fan of anytime there's a book series, and I have book series that have series. I have multiple book series, that multiple series of books. How's that? That are like this one, for instance. Just this one's 6, but like I said, there's other books from the world. I have other series that are like 20 or 30 books long. Like, I like being immersed in a world, and I think like a lot of books do that. But when it's made into a movie, they have to cut a lot of things out, things like that. True. When it's made into a TV show, because this one was made into a TV show called Shadowhunters.
On Freeform, it looks like.
On Freeform.
That's what the sticker says on it.
Soon to be available on Freeform. It came out the show came out, I think, 6 or 7 years ago, but.
So it's been a while.
It's been a while. That show is great. I liked it. That it didn't star anybody too big, I don't think. The main character is Kat McNamara, and the guy is Dominic Sherwood. Amazing actors from the show. They're like young Hollywood. Oh, okay. But the show did have Isaiah Mufasta, or I forget his...
Simba's dad?
No, he's you know the Old Spice commercials?
Is that the one with the catchy little jingle, like do 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 do?
So it was the guy. He would be here. He's like, ladies, look at your man, and look at me, look back at your man. Sadly, he isn't me, but he could smell like me if you stop using lady scented deodorant and start using Old Spice. Look down, now up. What do I have? Diamonds. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm on a horse. Like, I love these commercials, and when I first started watching Shadowhunters and I saw him pop up, I was like, it's the Old Spice guy. And I'm like, that's the greatest thing ever, because I loved those commercials. Like, I would, even before the TV, it's so weird, but I would just, quote these commercials all the time. Why? I have no idea, but that's just something that's stuck in my brain.
I'm vaguely familiar with those commercials. Yeah. But that's the actor.
That's the actor who's in it. So I think he was the biggest draw for me to watch the TV show, other than I loved the books so much. But was the Old Spice guy was in this playing Luke, and I was like, that's so cool. It's fucking rad. So but it's things like that. The TV show's a little bit I like things being put into TV shows better than movies, because I feel like they can put more can put more details into it, which is great, because they can do one book is one
episode?
No.
Season.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's great. I absolutely love that. The only thing is TV shows have writers, and writers like to put their own spin on things, which is fine, and it's very talented when if you do it well. But sometimes it's oh, well,
Yeah, because you don't want to deviate too far from the source material.
Too far, exactly. Yeah. Because when you're trying to adapt something like a book, especially for those like me who really love reading the books and really love connecting with the world through the written world, then it's hard for us to watch something if it deviates too much. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I'm fine with it. But I do prefer books just because it's more detailed.
And I think what you mentioned as far as TV shows being able to do more detail, I think we're starting to see that more in the industry in terms of other media adapting stories from books or from comic books too, especially.
Mm.
You're not seeing just blockbuster movies anymore. You are seeing longer form TV series on, whatever streaming app has that license for that.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Netflix is gonna be doing a Sandman adaptation. The
Oh.
the comic, the DC Vertigo comic from the 80s, 90s. Um,
Why was I thinking Neil Gaiman?
yeah.
Oh, it's the same thing.
Neil Gaiman, yeah.
Oh.
It was a comic book that ran for, I want to say, 75 issues. So for years that had been floated around in the industry as like they were going to do a movie of it. But that would be a property that would be better served in a longer form serial format.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Netflix is going to do now. They're going to have a TV show, and it's probably going to be
Nice.
a better adaptation than a movie, like a 2-hour movie would have been.
Mm-hmm.
Watchmen is another example. We had the Zack Snyder movie in 2009, which had mixed reviews. I liked it pretty well.
Yeah.
But the way the book's so dense, it probably would have been better as a TV series. And then HBO had a TV series in 2019. It wasn't an adaptation of the original Watchmen story, but it was like a sequel to it. So they were able to take a lot more time with it and flesh that out in kind of the updated world in the future of that storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think they have writers like I mentioned, they are very talented when they're done right, but they have such a difficult job, I feel, because they have to interpret the book and and stay true to like the fandom, and also try to put it into a shell of a different type of media, and like I would expect that that's very, very difficult. So like I'm very happy that they do that. It's sometimes when you're a big fan and you see things and you're like, oh, well, but
you take what you can get sometimes.
You take what you can get. That's absolutely right, because that's very true. Because if you're a fan of something, especially books, you get very excited to be able to now have a visual interpretation of the stories that you love. For example, Harry Potter. A lot of people, like our friend Jaden, she loves the Harry Potter books. Loves them. I do too. I own all of them. I own all of the audiobooks. She logs into my Audible to be able to listen to my audiobooks, and so she actually listens to the Harry Potter audiobooks all the time, but she hates watching the movies with me.
Really?
Mm-hmm. She doesn't, because she's like, that's not from the book. That's not like it's the book from the book. That's not like it's the book. I'm like, yeah, I know, honey, but it's
it's an adaptation.
It's an entertainment value to just give you visuals, basically. And I understand that, and I understand where she's coming from, because yeah, that's definitely not from the book or whatever. And Fred and George were a lot crazier in the books than they are in the movies, if you can imagine it. I mean, in the books they put like a whole freaking swamp on like the second or third floor of Hogwarts that no teacher can figure out how to get the swamp out of the school.
Right.
And Filch has to like ferry kids across it or yeet them across.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so things like that in the books are like hilarious, and you get more of a fleshed out thing for all of the characters rather than just like the main 3 or the main 6 or however many went to go help save Sirius. Anyway, that's kind of where that is. Where I understand what she's saying is like, oh, it's so different from the book. That's not from the book. They didn't put this in, and that that makes her sad.
Yeah. And
I understand that. However, I kind of understand that what they're doing with the adaptations are giving us just a visual helper, right? And giving us like more of a just visual.
Some people too, they get tripped up with the live action adaptations because suddenly they have a visual for how these people look, and it's different than what was in their mind. That's the thing about books is you kind of create the world partly yourself. In your imagination, you think about what the people look like. You might even have, your own image of what they look like. Sometimes there's a guide to it, like, with Harry Potter, it showed a picture of him on the front of the book, so he's like a little brunette boy with glasses. But maybe some of the other characters, they'll describe them so you can kind of get a visual in your mind, but then you see them on the screen and you're like, oh, I guess that's kind of like what I was thinking. But it never quite matches what you have in your own head.
That's true. Anyway, but for movies versus TV, or no, what is it? Movies versus books.
Oh yeah. Movie versus TV. I mean, that's a whole other topic.
That's a whole other topic because, like we already mentioned, I kind of prefer, like, if they're doing like a saga, like say Lord of the Rings. I love I like that they do like 2 to 3 hour movies and multiple, like 2 to 3 hour or 3 to 4.
It's like 3 hour movies.
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So
I can read your mind.
Thank you.
I knew what you were trying to say.
Thank you. But when they're doing the
3 hour movies,
it gives us more time to have all of the details that we are craving as book lovers. So with things like that, I would prefer longer movies, and then multiple of those longer movies so that you get all of the story. And I absolutely love that.
The one thing I hear, especially in the Lord of the Rings universe, is the Hobbit prequels. Some people think there was just too much of that. Because that, again, was 3 hour movies, right? Just based on one book.
Just based on one book, right. So they were, probably people thought they were slower, but I enjoyed them. I appreciate, God, what's his name? Something Martin. I do this all the time. What's the guy's name that, Martin Freeman? The actor?
I don't know.
He plays the Hobbit. He plays Bilbo. Anyway, the actor...
I never saw the Hobbit ones. I just saw the Lord of the Rings.
Well, he also played... I just love the fact that Benedict Cumberbatch and I think his name's Martin Freeman, I'm pretty sure, I'm going to double check, that they're both in the Hobbit movies, but they also play Sherlock and Watson in the Sherlock TV show.
Oh, yes.
Which is also very good. Another adaptation of books to TV show is Sherlock, which I adore the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock show. It's so good, let me tell you that.
I never saw it. I don't think I've really consumed much in the way of Sherlock Holmes media.
I have consumed it all.
Yeah.
Just ate it right up.
What about, wasn't there a Robert Downey Jr. vehicle?
Yes.
With him as Sherlock?
Sherlock, and then Jude Law is Watson.
Oh yeah, how was that?
They're good movies. I really enjoy them too. Like, I don't care. I will give me Sherlock Holmes in any way you can. Like, I'm down.
Give me Iron Holmes.
Iron Holmes. Oh, well, and then there was Super Holmes, too, because in the Henry Cavill played Sherlock Holmes in the newest Netflix show. Oh, no, it was this Netflix movie starring Eleven.
Oh, Millie Bobby Brown.
Millie Bobby Brown as Enola Holmes, who is Sherlock and Minecraft's little sister.
Oh, I heard about that.
And it was Superman playing Holmes, and it was
that would be the buffest Sherlock Holmes ever.
He was, and he looked real good in that suit. I'm going to tell you that.
I believe it.
I'm a big Henry Cavill fan. Like, I really enjoy his work. Everything that he does, it's amazing. Like, he picks the best, like, nerdy characters that he can, right? He's freaking Superman. He's Geralt in The Witcher.
The Witcher, yeah.
He's Sherlock Holmes. God, he's got range. He's got range.
He was on The Tudors. I think that was one of his first big things.
I've never seen The Tudors.
Tudors is good.
I don't like the costuming on The Tudors.
No?
No, it's weird.
I like the lack of costuming.
Oh my god.
I enjoy that part. Whoops.
What is that, HBO?
Yes. Yep.
How did I know?
Although I saw it on Netflix.
Is it on Netflix?
Yeah, Netflix was showing it after its original run. I don't know if it was HBO or if it was Showtime or
Cinemax?
Cinemax, one of those. It was years ago.
Cinemax.
That was before he played
I freaking
Superman.
said Skinamax.
Skinamax. I haven't heard that phrase in a while.
No! What? I just said that. Oh my goodness. Anyway, before, what were we talking? Oh, Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill.
And here's a tangent about him. Did you hear this week? He's not going to be Superman anymore. They're looking for an African American Superman.
Really? Yeah. That's interesting.
That it would be, but this was announced on his birthday. So just the optics from Warner Brothers / their corporate owner AT&T, just not good.
Oops.
Like poor Henry.
Yeah, because like he really, I know that, you know, I'm looking at all of your original Christopher Reeves posters and everything, and he's amazing.
Yes.
However, Henry Cavill is my favorite Superman.
He is.
I know.
He's good.
He's good.
Really good.
You can. And it's not just because he's the most recent, it's just because I'm a huge Henry Cavill fan. So he's my favorite Superman. But anyway, that sucks. It's so funny though, because like I've been reading comments from other people on like the Henry Cavill leaving Superman thing, and it's so funny because people are like so hung up with the fact that they're like, oh well, Henry Cavill only takes jobs for the money. He only does it for the money, and I'm sitting there like it's his job or something, right? Weird.
It's kind of what he does.
Like,
he gets paid to act.
It blows my mind. Like, yeah, he does it for the money.
Are they
Literally,
implying
it's his job.
he doesn't have passion for the projects he picks, or something along those lines?
Something along those lines.
I don't see any evidence of that.
No,
you know, I don't think he's ever phoning it in, or
because he's a big nerd, right? So, and he takes nerdy jobs. So, like, he obviously will pick things that he likes to do or has interest in. But yeah, he does it for the money. It's his job.
Yeah.
But there have been a lot of adaptations
like a lot of adaptations for
there have been a lot of adaptations from, you know, books to movies that have been, like you said, have been good. There are a lot that have not been so great, where the books, you know, are going to be better. I mean, I'm on the stance that more than likely the books are always going to be better than either the movie or the TV show. But I do appreciate that, you know, they are taking the time to, you know, put these stories in a different media kind of source, and to give us some visual entertainment from the story or the universe that, you know, that we enjoy and that we love, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I can't think of any examples now, but one of the best things that I've always noticed is like when they do a movie and you don't even know it was based on a book. I guess one good example is High Fidelity. Not everybody at the time knew that was originally a book. When a movie can become its own thing, when it's done so well and you only know the movie, I think that's really cool, because then you could find out about the book and then you can go back and check out the book and see how it compares. I would say that's another example where I've read the book and seen the movie, and I think the movie's better than the book.
Well, like it's funny you say that, because like the book series that I just was talking about, like I saw the movie first. Right?
And John Cusack's in it, like in High Fidelity.
No. No, Phil Collins' daughter is in it. Thank you.
Oh, Lily Collins. Yeah. I imagine she's very elfin looking.
And Lena something or other. She's in Game of Thrones. She played Cersei. Lena.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Have you seen Game of Thrones?
No, I never have.
Well, that one, speaking of which, but
books for those too. Books
for those are amazing. And the show gives a good representation. But oh my god, that ending. But, you know, I digress.
That's what I've heard. Ending was no bueno.
Well, okay.
It was Cinco de Mayo this week, kids.
Wow. Game of Thrones is another one where, like, the books are amazing. The books are well loved. And they did very well adapting the books. until it went like the woo, and then then it just kind of went off.
It really diverged, huh?
It really diverged.
Yeah.
Well, it's for the most part it did. I think the TV shows ended before the books. The last book came out, right?
Yeah,
No.
I don't think the last book's been completed.
So they're like just guessing.
Yeah.
Basically, they just guessed. So
they shouldn't really have that held against them. You know what I mean?
know,
the source material wasn't there.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm never going to hold anything against them. It's entertainment value, like whatever. But yeah. So I think they just guessed. They went by the seat of their pants, which is something that we do very often.
Yeah. Every Saturday.
Every Saturday. You think this shit is scripted? Hell no.
Yeah, there's no teleprompters back there behind the camera.
No. No, it was just like, I had another example, and it went into my head and then flew out of my head. We talked about...
Something Henry Cavill related?
No.
While you're thinking about it, I'm looking at some of my collectibles now. James Bond, those were all books. And then turned into movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And there were several, there's been almost 25 James Bond movies. And they've been making them since 1962.
Mm-hmm.
But up until, I think, the mid-'80s, they were taking each movie from an individual book written by the author Ian Fleming. Just adapting all of them till they ran out of stuff to adapt, and then they started coming up with new stories.
Huh.
But I've never read the books, so I can't say what's better or not.
Yeah, I didn't read them either. I didn't know they were books. So that lends credence to your theory that, standalone movies that are better or that are done really well, they stand up on their own, and you might not necessarily know that they're from books.
Exactly. Yeah. James Bond's like that too. Sure.
Huh. That's really cool. Didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Huh.
So has that thought come back to you yet?
No, not even a little bit. I have no idea what I was going to say. Oh, I do.
Whoa. That was scary.
I do remember. Because sometimes, you get a book series that you love, and then it gets adapted to TV show, which, I usually like. However, then it gets changed so much that you didn't even it just is its own entity now, and you have no idea what's going on because it diverges so much from the book that you have no idea. For instance, I remember now the Sookie Stackhouse novels, or as you might know it as True Blood, because True Blood,
I didn't know that was a book.
It was one of those series that had 10 or more books to the series, and I own all of them. They're called the Sookie Stackhouse novels, and they got adapted into True Blood, which I loved on its own for most of it. And then when it diverged so completely from the story, it was several seasons in, I think, that it just went wheat. It just wheat. Yeeted itself over there. So nobody knows. You think you would know some of the story of what's going to be happening because of the books, but nah, it's nowhere near. You have no idea what's going on. But for entertainment value, if you just accept it now for its own entity, and if you can make that partition in your head that this is not the same story as this anymore, maybe you can enjoy it for what it is. But I never finished the True Blood series, the last season or two, just because I'm what? What? Suke, what are you doing? That's not what you're supposed to be doing. That type of thing. And that for me did get me to where it was oh my God, this is way too crazy for me. Mm-hmm. Way too crazy. And maybe I'll go back to it and rewatch it and love it again, and maybe I can finish it, because that's a bad habit of mine, is that I will start watching a TV show and I will watch it for seasons and seasons and then not watch the last season.
A lot of times the last seasons aren't good.
I don't want it to end.
That's why. So you kind of drag it out.
I drag it out for years and years and years, and I don't watch the last season of things. But I'll always read all of the books, but, like, I don't know.
But doesn't it end if you stop at the second to last season? It's
No.
still an ending for you.
No, it's not, because I know there's more.
I mean, mind over matter, I guess it works.
Because I know there's more to the story. So in my head, I'm like, it's not done yet. So it's fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that last chapter still out there somewhere.
This last season's still out there. I still can go back to it and rewatch it and have something new when I rewatch it later on. Does that make sense? Absolutely not. Is that what I'm doing with my life? Absolutely. Anyway, back to movies versus books.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, one thing I could mention, because you mentioned my Christopher Reeve Superman posters.
Mm-hmm.
You could look at comic book movies. They're adaptations of something in print. Comic books.
Oh, that's true.
Comic books are a little different than books in that they're just very long-form serial storytelling with graphics.
Well, sure, but they're still a written story, like in word.
And that's the source material for the movies.
Yeah, like they're still having to adapt a written word to a different type of media.
Yep.
Yeah. So there are movies and TV shows that are from a written word that are adapted into a different type of media. I was agreeing with you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would say, especially the first two Superman movies from 1978 and 1981, respectively, those were probably better than the comics that were being published at the time. Oh. So you could say that they were better than the source material. The comics then weren't at their greatest, you know. The art was decent. The writing was kind of hit or miss, spotty. There wasn't a lot going on with the character. Those movies were kind of like a dynamic punch in the arm that a lot of people enjoyed. A lot of people do say, though, Christopher Reeve as Superman, they did a really good job of like recreating his look from the comic.
He's very Superman-ish.
Yeah, he basically looks like the comic book artist at the time was Kurt Swan, whose Superman is very well known. He looks like a Kurt Swan drawing come to life, which is really cool.
Yeah. Because, you know, with Superman, you want that, like, definitely that amazing visual that is Superman, like the tall, muscular, very, you know, handsome, because Superman's very handsome, right? Like, that's what he's known for.
It sounded like you were describing me at first. But you meant Superman. Okay.
I thought I said tall, but I did not.
Okay. That's the only part of that would not be accurate. I'm not tall.
I like, Stan. Yay, we're little people. Anyway, but you know, they did do a great job with like getting the visuals correct for Superman, and I think that's great. But
yeah,
another one that we love so much, and we've talked about it on this channel so much, is WandaVision. Because WandaVision was so popular and so loved by everybody that loves the MCU. We loved it.
Oh,
WandaVision. Yes. Oh my gosh, we every episode, and like usually I wait until like the last episode to watch all of them, right? No, not WandaVision. I had to watch it
each week.
And you know, we did talk about all of the in WandaVision they did grab all of their source materials from the comics, right?
Oh yeah.
Because we had a lot of discussions of like, oh, this was from this comic and this was from that comic, or he knew all of that. I just thought it was cool looking.
Yeah. Well, it probably was cool for you to hear that some of those visuals and stuff did come from the comics. You're like, oh, there was a source for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I haven't read a lot of comics. I like comics. I haven't read them because I'm too busy reading those types of books.
Man, that could have hurt somebody. That book's so big and heavy.
Bring it on.
Big books, and you cannot lie.
Big books that cannot lie. All you others can't deny. When the book opens up and all the pages, I don't know. I can't sing. So
keep working on it.
Thank you.
That was a good start.
Thank you. I'll let you know.
But for you, the bigger the better.
Bigger the better. Like I said, I like my details. I like them long, and I like them problematic. Give me the drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I like being immersed in the world. I like all the details. If a media adaptation can do that for me, wonderful. I am so down for it. I even don't mind when there's a huge when there's little differences. It's when they like get to be huge plot diverting differences, and I'm just like, that's a little weird.
You know, since we've been talking about adaptations, one type of adaptation comes to mind, and there's been a recent example of it, the Mortal Kombat movie that just came out. What about video game to movie or TV adaptations?
Well,
are there any you're familiar with or that
like
you've
The
seen?
Witcher?
Yeah, The Witcher's one, sure.
I'm telling you, if Henry Cavill's in it, I know it. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I know of The Witcher because when I used to live with my friends up in Greenvale. Hi Marty, hi Sarah. They don't watch this, but
they should.
When I used to live with my friends up in Greenville, one of them, her name's Sarah, she loves video games. So she'll play a lot of video games, and one of the things that she plays is The Witcher. So I would actually just sit there while I like crocheted or read or whatever grandma thing I was doing at the time. And watched her play these video games, and one of my favorites is The Witcher. I loved it a lot. So when the TV show came out, I knew exactly what it was. Even though I'm not a gamer myself, I never professed to be. I'm not a huge gamer. But I like watching my friends play the games, especially the fantasy games like The Witcher. So I was very excited when the TV show came out. Now, I'm not a big fan of the video games. Like, I'm not sure. But I do very much like the visuals in there. So I very, very much like The Witcher, the Netflix show. What about you?
Well, I'm not familiar with The Witcher, but thinking of adaptations, I mean, I go all the way back to like 1990 when I was like 10 years old.
Say the Mario Brothers. Say the Mario Brothers.
Mario Brothers cartoon, which had live action segments with two guys dressed like Mario and Luigi.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And
so
to me, fairly accurate.
I knew exactly where you were going.
And then I think it was every Friday they would show Zelda cartoons instead of Super Mario.
Oh.
Yep. But that's the first one I remember. I can't remember if they did anything before that. Then they did the Super Mario movie, which I never saw it, but I've
the live action one.
The live action one with John Leguizamo. I've not heard good things about it.
No, not at all. Hilarious things, but maybe not quite so flattering.
But the 90s saw a lot of those adaptations. Street Fighter was a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there were the two Mortal Kombat movies back then.
Yeah.
And then we get into Resident Evil. They did a movie.
I love the Resident Evil. It's so funny because I don't like the video games because they're too scary. And I'm a little wuss when it comes to scary things.
Mm-hmm.
But I do love Mia Jovovich.
Mia
Jovovich. And
I know who you mean.
Yeah. I love her. I think she's great. I think she's talented. I think she's like beautiful in an unconventional way. I think she's amazing. And I will watch almost anything she's in, including the Resident Evil movies, even though jump scares are not my thing. But it's so funny because when I know that it's a movie that's going to have jump scares, like it's most of the time I'm okay. Like I'm like, oh yeah, it's a jump scare. Okay, so whatever. So, but it's like the mental thrillers that really I hate. Like, but Resident Evil is a good one. I do like the Resident Evil movies.
Oh, Tomb Raider. That was another movie.
Oh, Lara Croft. That's right. You're absolutely right. Give me that Angelina Jolie. I love her shit. Excuse me. I love her things. But
she's good.
She is good. I was a huge fan of Angelina Jolie. I'm still a huge fan of Angelina Jolie. Yeah, the Maleficent movies, great. Anyway.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, technically, you can make the argument of all the Disney movies, because the Disney movies are all based on like written fairy tales, right?
Like the Brothers Grimm and that kind of thing. Yeah, that's true.
Hans Christian Andersen.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know those Brothers Grimm stories were a lot more brutal than the movie adaptations.
Yeah. Well, yeah, all of them were. 100%, because they're all cautionary tales and things like that.
Yeah, like Cinderella, I was just reading about, was pretty savage. Yeah. Stepsisters had to wear the hot iron shoes or whatever.
Oh no, I think that was the mother. The stepsisters cut off pieces of their heels to fit in the shoe.
Oh, that gives me the willies.
So that's another, we can make the argument all day long of the Disney adaptations of all of the written work, because a lot of people don't really necessarily think about it as Disney. All of the Disney movie, most of the Disney movies are based off of old stories, books, or fairy tales. And, but they very much wash them out to make it kid-friendly.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
To me, it's kind of like you could do a best of both worlds type of thing. It's going to reach a more vast audience. And it's still going to be the bones of the story. So you're going to get enough of the plot. And then... the kids, they're being introduced to the stories at a young age. They could always seek out the original source material when they're older.
Like I did.
Yes.
And I became weird.
So that's how it happened.
Well, yes. Yeah, but that is something that I did heavily get into. Was I've always loved Disney movies. I still to this day love Disney movies. I know all the words to all the Disney songs. I really do. But I did enjoy, when I got older, I did enjoy doing that, to where like I would find all of the original stories, like the Grimm fairy tales, Han Solo.
That'd be like how my mom would pronounce it.
Yeah. But like Hans Christian Andersen, things like that, and you read all of these original stories, and you're like, oh, that is dark. I like it. Like that's kind of what happened there. Yeah. But then I like the other stories that you get too. The adaptations where like they're kind of B-movie adaptations, which I really enjoy. So you get like the Brothers Grimm that had Heath Ledger in it.
Oh, I never saw that one.
Oh my god, it's so good. You should watch it. I think I own it on DVD. You can borrow it.
Oh, that'd be good.
And then what's the other one that just came out? Not just came out a few years ago. But the Hansel and Gretel movie. It had Hawkeye.
Oh, Jeremy Renner.
Had Jeremy Renner as Hansel.
I didn't see it.
And Gretel was played by the actress. She was in Clash of the Titans or something. But yeah, but that one, I love Hansel and Gretel. That one's a great movie. See, the kind of like B-movie fairy tales that put a lot of... It's because I think, they just remind me of like play acting and a Renaissance fair. And
Oh, that was just my watch.
Rude! They kind of remind me of like play acting at a Renaissance fair. And I love Renaissance fair. So it just, I don't know, it makes me happy. They're like, it just feels like, it's my type of people. It's my type of story. I love it. And it's fantasy, and it's based off like fairy tales and things like that as well. So those, it's like interesting adaptations of these stories that are like more fanciful. It's really interesting. Yeah.
So, I guess now we come to the part of the show where we talk about what's been going on in terms of the last week, like maybe with our social media. Like, we do have the Facebook page. Have we gotten any questions on there? You
know what, Rob, because you liked the post and didn't comment, we are going to steal your question. Okay.
So this is where we come to our what we call Knowledge is Power segment.
Yeah, because knowledge is power.
That's true.
Well, your friend Rob and my coworker, Rob's cool. I just know him from his mustache.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty legendary.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Rob posed a question that has no bearing on this topic that we were talking about at all. So let's get into it. So we have, for Star Wars Day, we have May the 4th be with you. But then, what comes next? Is it Revenge of the 5th? Or is it Revenge of the 6th? What are your thoughts? Because I was always of the interpretation that it was Revenge of the 5th, since it's the very next day. And you get more memes that way.
I like Revenge of the 6th because it's closer to Sith. It's only like one letter off. And it gives us space for Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo is getting overlooked in that 2-day celebration of Star Wars.
Yeah.
You just spread it out a little. Revenge of the 6th.
So
Revenge of the 5th sounds like Mike Tyson is saying it.
Oh my god, I'm dead.
Oh, I knew you'd like that.
Mike Tyson, he said it, not me.
Oh man, I'm gonna get punched.
Oh my god.
Oh, Mike, we love you. You're great.
Oh my god, it's great. But I mean, I think it's because like I've just never until recently, until this question was posed, I never actually heard of anybody saying Revenge of the 6th, because I've always heard of Revenge of the 5th. But I kind of like the idea. You know, I think you're right, and I'm not going to play devil's advocate here like I would usually.
That is a role you enjoy.
Yes, it is. I kind of see where you're going. Yeah, and then, you know, Cinco de Mayo is a celebration of Mexico winning their freedom not freedom for France, but France tried to come invade and like Mexico and like South America like and then like shooed them off their way and won that battle.
Yep.
So, you know, Viva la Mexico, Cinco de Mayo. Yeah, I think that should be celebrated for their victory.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like it.
You know what? You're right. I am now going to reject all of the Revenge of the 5th memes in favor of Revenge of the 6th. I am jumping ship into that camp. I'm going to jump off that ship and into your camp. Wait.
So
Anyway.
It looks like I was a persuasive debater, which is pretty awesome.
You didn't have a debate. I just like agreed with you.
Well, is it really? Yeah. Well, I like when people agree with me, especially when I'm right.
the only thing I debated was there's more memes for Revenge of the 5th.
For now, we need to make it a meme thing for Revenge of the 6th.
Everybody, do it.
Next year.
That's right. Make those Revenge of the 6th memes so I can share them.
Yep, we'll make it happen.
Okay, so on a different nerdy topic, May the 1st be with you. I don't know if anybody saw that, but Pride and Prejudice fandom. I got you. It was May the 1st be with you, and it was like pictures of Colin Firth.
That's another Mike Tyson sounding thing.
But Mr. Darcy coming out of the lake. Anyway. Oh, that's more adaptations from books versus movies.
Oh, you mean like the Jane Austen stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Which, you know, I watched those movies a lot. We didn't even talk about my very, 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 very favorite book adaptation movie.
What's that?
The Princess Bride.
That was a book?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. What do you think the grandpa's reading in the beginning?
Oh, that's right. I thought that was just a storytelling framing thing.
No, there's an actual book, The Princess Bride, and it's heavily based on, like, the movie does really well on interpreting the story from that book.
Wow, that's great.
Except the movie has Cary Elwes, which we know. He's my lifelong crush. I have loved Cary Elwes. Why am I keep
Mike Tyson.
Shut up. Elvis. So long. I love him so much. I don't know what this was.
So in your opinion, then, the movie's better than the book?
Yeah, just because I like to look at Carrie Ellis. I'm sorry that I'm making you into eye candy, but man, he has some good roles.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Have
really
you seen
does.
him lately?
The most recent thing that I've seen him in, I think, well, it's not even that recent, that I'm like thinking of is he was in Psych. You know the TV show Psych?
Oh, I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's so good. But Carrie Ellis is in that. He played Devereaux, who was a art thief.
Oh.
Yeah, and he actually is a reoccurring character, and he's real cool. Yeah, he breaks out of jail all the time just to like do some shenanigans with the psych boys, and it's hilarious.
Sounds cool.
He's really cool. I love his character, but it's Carrie Ellis, so it's always gonna be a good character. You got the Dread Pirate Roberts. You got Robin Hood from Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Oh, that's right.
We are men in tights, tights.
You gotta love Mel Brooks.
I love Mel Brooks. Anyway, and on that note, oh my god.
On that note, we'll give our usual spiel. Remember,
oh my god.
Remember, if you want to watch us on YouTube, like and subscribe there.
That is our video companion. We also have the audio for the podcast up on Spotify and Anchor and all of that good stuff. Anywhere you can find podcasts will be there for you. You can subscribe to us there as well if you prefer that. And yeah, I have one last question for you, Jason.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Am I a nerd? Am I a nerd?
Not quite yet, young shadow hunter. But
Yes!
soon. You are well on the way. And of course, don't forget to check us out on social media, Facebook, like our page, Instagram. We're there too. Talk to us, send us questions, comments. We'd love to hear from you.
Love ya.
And remember,
Nerd your heart out.